6 days, 6 straight days of rain. Today, that sounds like an inconvenience. You stay inside, turn on the heater, order food, and wait for the clouds to disappear. But imagine living tens of thousands of years ago in Africa with no house, no electricity, no supermarket, and no waterproof jacket. The sky has been pouring for almost a week. Your shelter is damp, your clothes are wet, the ground is turning to mud, and your fire, the thing keeping your group warm, fed, and safe, is getting weaker. The terrifying part is that the rain itself isn't necessarily what kills you. It's what the rain does next. It soaks your body. It destroys your dry fuel. It makes hunting harder. It turns paths into hazards. And it can leave your entire group cold, hungry, and trapped. For ancient Africans, surviving a long period of bad weather wasn't about one clever invention. It was about preparation. The first battle, protecting the fire. Fire was one of the most valuable technologies available to prehistoric people. It provided warmth, it cooked food, it produced light, and it helped make life inside a shelter possible. But rain is the enemy of fire. Wet wood burns badly. Damp tinder may fail completely. And once a fire goes out, starting another one could require skill, suitable materials, and time. So the smartest strategy was simple. Don't let the fire die. Before the rain arrived, people could collect dry grass, bark, wood, and other materials and protect them from moisture. A small amount of dry tinder could become incredibly valuable when everything outside was soaked. Archaeological discoveries from later prehistoric periods show that people carried materials associated with fire-making, demonstrating just how important reliable fire could be. For ancient Africans living through wet weather, keeping that flame alive meant protecting the center of the entire camp. But even with a fire burning, there was another enemy. Cold. The second battle, staying dry. Rain doesn't have to be freezing to become dangerous. A wet body loses heat faster than a dry one, especially when wind is involved. So the goal isn't simply to get warm. The goal is to stay dry. That makes shelter one of the most important resources in the landscape. A cave, a rock overhang, a protected hollow, or a shelter constructed from branches, leaves, grass, or animal hides. The best location could mean the difference between comfort and serious exposure, and prehistoric people became extremely skilled at creating protected living spaces from whatever their environment provided. Inside that shelter, the fire could keep burning while the rain continued outside. But now another problem appeared: food. The third battle, surviving without hunting. Imagine the rain starts on Monday. You already have food, that's fine. Tuesday comes, still manageable. Wednesday, Thursday. Now hunting becomes harder. Animals may move differently. Trails become difficult to follow. Streams and rivers may rise. Every trip outside costs energy, and getting soaked makes the journey even more dangerous. So surviving the storm depends heavily on what you did before it arrived. This is why food preservation was so important. Across prehistoric societies, people developed different methods of keeping food usable for longer periods. Meat could be dried. Smoking could help preserve it. Fat could be stored. Plants could be collected when abundant. Food could be placed in protected caches. The principle was always the same: save some of today's food for tomorrow. That requires something unusual. You have enough food right now, yet you deliberately don't eat all of it. You imagine a future when food might be harder to find. That ability to prepare for a future that hasn't happened yet is one of the most powerful human survival strategies. The storm doesn't reward the strongest person. It rewards the person who prepared before the storm. But there is one more problem: time. The fourth battle, 6 days inside. Imagine being trapped inside a small shelter with the same people for almost a week. No roads, no entertainment, no easy escape, just darkness, rain, firelight, and the same familiar faces. At first, it might feel peaceful. Then boredom arrives, then frustration. And in a small group that depends on cooperation, even small conflicts can become serious. So what did ancient Africans do with those long hours? They worked. They repaired tools. They processed materials. They prepared hides. They shaped stone. They made ornaments. They talked. And they told stories. Archaeological sites across Africa preserve extraordinary evidence of ancient creativity, including pigments, engraved objects, beads, tools, and other signs of complex behavior. Some of these activities required time and concentration. A rainy day could provide exactly that. The storm kept people from moving across the landscape, but it also gave them hours to work beside the fire. And perhaps the most important thing they could make wasn't a tool, it was knowledge. The stories around the fire. Picture a group gathered together while rain hits the shelter outside. An older person remembers where water can be found. Someone knows which plants are useful. A hunter remembers where animals travel. Another person knows how to make a particular tool. A child listens. This is how knowledge moves, generation to generation. Not through books, not through screens, through memory, demonstration, repetition, and stories. A storm could therefore become an unexpected classroom. The people couldn't control the weather, but they could use the time it created. And when the rain finally stopped, the world outside had changed. When the rain finally ends, the ground was wet. Water collected in low places. Animal tracks could become easier to notice in soft ground. Plants responded to moisture, and depending on the environment, insects and other food sources could become more abundant. The same rain that had created danger could eventually create opportunity. That is the strange thing about nature. A storm isn't simply good or bad. It changes the landscape. Ancient Africans survived by learning how to respond to those changes. They couldn't stop the rain. They couldn't control the clouds, but they could prepare for what the rain would do. They could protect the fire. They could build shelter. They could preserve food. They could repair tools. They could teach their children, and they could wait. The real secret was preparation. Go back to the 6th day. The rain is still falling, but inside the shelter the group is still functioning. The fire is alive because someone protected the fuel. People are warmer because someone found or built a good shelter. Food remains because someone prepared it before the storm. Tools are being repaired because people have time to work. And knowledge is being passed from one generation to the next. None of this is a single invention. It is a system. And that system reveals something fundamental about human survival. The most important moment wasn't when the storm arrived. It was before the first raindrop. When the weather was good, when food was available, when dry fuel could be collected, when shelter could be repaired. That was when survival was decided. A predator is a problem you solve immediately. A week of rain is different. It asks what you prepared yesterday for a problem that might happen tomorrow. And that ability to think ahead may be one of the greatest survival advantages humans ever developed. Today, when rain falls for 6 days, most of us barely think about survival. We turn on the heat, open the refrigerator, close the windows, pick up a phone, and wait. But underneath all that modern technology are ancient solutions. Your heater replaces the warmth of the fire. Your roof replaces the shelter. Your stocked kitchen replaces preserved food, and your stories, videos, and conversations still perform the oldest human function of all, keeping people connected while they wait. The technology changed. The problem didn't. Ancient Africans couldn't stop the storm, so they learned to prepare for it. And perhaps that is the real lesson of 6 days of rain. Survival doesn't always belong to the strongest. Sometimes it belongs to the people who can look at a clear sky and prepare for the storm they cannot see yet.